Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Hex with Armand Kafai, John Arnold, and Daniel Robertson. As always, smash the like button. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about today. USA-Senegal, what are successful World Cups for the three big teams in CONCACAF? And what could be a surprise for the normies in the World Cup? So get subscribed to the channel and lock in for The Hex. Guys, it was a 3-2 final from Charlotte on Sunday afternoon. Dipped in and out of it a little bit. Great first half for the U.S. Got a little sketchy in the second half, but not too bad. We're gonna go with one takeaway because you don't want to take, as John told us last week, you don't want to take too much away from these preseason or pre-World Cup friendlies. Armand, what is your one takeaway from USA Senegal?
Well, before I jump into my takeaway, that's actually something that I was watching a clip of Bob Bradley talk about, where he was talking about how Pochettino isn't going to show most of his cards leading into this friendly. He doesn't expect that in the Germany friendly as well, too. So, to John's point, are we going to learn that much? I'm not sure. But my big takeaway from it was Ricardo Pepi. I think Ricardo Pepi was absolutely excellent in his way that he started the game with this with one primary assist and second and the first secondary assist, but it also provides for a striker competition. I think with Flo Balogun as well too. I think with that, I think we all kind of expected Balogun to kind of walk into the starting spot. I think if we all had discussion, I think we'd all say Flo is a starter. Going into that first game against Paraguay. I don't think there's a way both of them can start, to be honest with you. I think with the system,
you have to change the formation.
Exactly. And you have the formation that you've kind of set yourself in with those two dual tens. I mean, could we see an experimentation? Maybe next game, maybe we see something of that sort of experiment. I think what this proves, though, is this could be an option maybe late on when you're chasing a game, when you're chasing a result late on. If you need to switch up the formation, be a little bit more direct, you can have a guy like Pepi and Balogun up top. But I also, again, like just Pepi roaming. I mean, and him being able to connect with Pulisic, I think was really good. And again, it's something that shows that, hey, this formation can be a little fluid as well, too, to where, again, Pepi's dropping a little bit deeper and helping connect the field as well. So was really impressed by what we saw from Ricardo Pepi. And again, I think this can add another tool to the toolbox that Mauricio Pochettino can have going into the group stage.
John, you know what I thought about Pepi from this game was that his value is going to be seen in the knockout rounds more than in the group stage, because the group stage is going to be a lot of possession for the United States against teams that, at least on paper, they should beat, that are going to want to give them the ball. And Pepi he didn't have that many touches, but it seems like the ones he made are obviously very, very valuable. And in games that you are playing against teams that are going to have the ball more, which is the later knockout round games, if the U.S. can make it, and we'll talk about that in a minute, I feel like that's maybe where Pepi's value may be seen more.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't think you want to play him in one of the 10 spots, but his ability to play make was pretty impressive, awesome. Right? Where all of a sudden he's connecting these plays. And I thought the chemistry he had with Pulisic obviously was on the radar, but under the radar was him working with Jedi Robinson. They just seem to know how to use the space together, how to kind of get in that same channel. And I really think, obviously, I've seen Pepi since he was playing for North Texas SC. So you would hope his game is evolved, but I think you really see the evolution where it's that was not the player that he was 2 years ago.
Great call out.
I mean, even when he was left off the 2022 squad, he was just kind of that was his game, number 9. And even with injuries and some time out and stuff, he still continued to add, which I think speaks to him. My biggest takeaway is pressure. I think the U.S. showed that they can win the ball back against a team that has a really good defense. Look, the lineups are the lineups, but Senegal got to they've won the African title, I will contend, with a great defense, with their back line. I mean, yeah, you have Sadio Mane, and he was great, don't get me wrong, but beyond that, this is a team that's the foundation is in defense, and the fact that the U.S. forwards and midfielders and sometimes wingbacks were able to pressure the hell out of them and get the ball back often. I think it speaks really well to the opportunities, not just in maybe a knockout game, but in those group stage games where, hey, we're going to keep the ball, we're going to, we don't really want the ball, we're going to sit back and defend. On the moments that they are playing out from a goal kick or trying to get out from the back for whatever reason, they're going to make it difficult. And I think that it kind of recalled moments of past U.S. men's national teams of just they're going to outwork you. They're going to sprint longer than you, harder than you, maybe not faster than you in the case of a team with a lot of speed, but like they will outwork you, and that hasn't really been a characteristic of the US since this evolution of players with like Pulisic, McKinney, these like top level guys. And if you can blend those things, to me, that's the most quote unquote like American team you can find, right? A team that works hard as hell, but also has talent on the ball. That could get you pretty deep in the World Cup.
Yeah, and we'll see again. I mean, the next friendly and the last friendly is going to be against Germany on Saturday, right? Either on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Saturday. It should be a very different game with a Germany team that is going to hold the ball a lot. My takeaway, if we're going back to the players with Serginho Dest, this is a guy who is the maybe he's the X factor. I've said it before. He's the X factor on the team. He's the one that reads the game from an attacking standpoint from the back better than anyone else. He plays for the top level clubs. He's played for top level clubs, obviously. Here's what I loved. 45 minutes, he had 28 touches. Now, we know the wingbacks are going to have a lot of touches when you're playing that 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or whatever you call it. But 28 touches in 45 minutes. That's a lot. Obviously, had the goal, great run, reads the game better than anyone else, had some defensive contributions. So, a healthy Serginho Dest, the two X factors to stay healthy, Serginho Dest and Tyler Adams. You keep those guys healthy, could be a successful World Cup for the United States.
Daniel, let me ask you something before.
Oh, you killed my transition.
I know, but my question becomes, where does Tim Weah fit in this? Because if Serginho Dest is the X factor that we kind of talk about, are we pairing him with Pulisic? Are we pairing him like where does Tim Weah fit in this? Because I'm with you. I think Dest is a game changer when he plays. The US just looks so much different with him as this attack minded full wingback. But for Weah, it's like you also want Tim Weah on the pitch as well too. So
he had a huge defensive play in the second half of the game, as huge as a play can get in a friendly 2 weeks before the World Cup. But I thought Weah actually had some big moments. But why not just play him up on right wing? I mean, you can play him there. It's not that difficult. You can pull off Reyna and put in Weah. That to me is pretty easy.
Yeah, and also like, yes, that's great. I agree with you that like, oh, he has the quality to be in the top best 11 of this US team, but also doesn't have to be, right? You can
and the World Cup of attrition too, the World Cup of managing minutes, and yeah. Well, as Armand so rudely interrupted my perfect segue, a successful World Cup. The next three segments, we're going to be talking about successful World Cups for USA, Mexico, and Canada in that order. So let's start out, John, with you. You can go wide or very focused in. I mean, it is literally right now, rubber meets the road. It is results based at this point. What is a successful World Cup for the United States?
Yeah, I think that like everyone wants to dodge this question. I've been asking like US men's national team legends. Go ahead.
We're the courageous podcast that does not dodge the question.
Maybe you don't know what I'm about to say. No, I think like so I've asked current and past players, and everyone kind of, and I get it. Like if you're a current player, you can't go out and say we got to make the semifinals. Right. You shouldn't be doing that. That's smart. If you're a past player, well, you could probably come out, but it's your prerogative, right? I totally understand that. I think that the U.S. needs to win 2 knockout games. Yeah. I think they need to win 2 knockout games. That gets them to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
I think that's the standard, especially with the World Cup being expanded. If they do that, it's a huge success. And that's like a tangible metric, right? Anything can happen. It's a World Cup. I'm not one of these people who reads the group as difficult. I've seen a lot of people comment that. I don't think so. I get that Turkey has a couple guys who play on top clubs, but like they also have guys who do not play in top clubs. I watched this team slog through a pair of March playoff games to barely make this tournament. And they're the best team in the group outside the US. So I think they'll win the group, and then the path is there for them to get 2 more wins. So that, to me, that's the success. If they don't get there, is it a failure? I think so. Like I guess anything could happen, right? Where it's like, oh, maybe this team comes out as the third play, and it's like you can't believe that France is here or whatever. Yeah. Fine. But like, I think almost any other standard is to get to the quarterfinal, which is like, I mean, that's top 8.
Yeah. Armand, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I think they should make the quarterfinal, because if they do finish 1 or 2, right? If they finish first place, they finish the third place team. in whatever group where the 495 permutations are.
And it's looking like teams like, like you said, John, we don't know if chalk is going to hold in every scenario, but given that these are weaker groups than we have seen in the past, I think it makes it more likely that the chalk holds. So you're looking at a team like an Ivory Coast, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Iraq, something like that.
Yep.
Why the look?
The pronunciation.
Those are just two. No, but they're also wildly different teams.
Yeah.
Like if you see Ivory Coast in the first, that's tough. If you see Iraq, you're like, nice. These guys almost lost to Bolivia, not at altitude.
That's true. That's true.
But the thing is that they also finished in the secondary spot. It's either more than likely going to be what Egypt or Iran, right? A game where I think
the winner of the Pride game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, those are matches you want to set up with, and then you're gonna have a tough opponent in the round of 16. Okay, to show kind of advancement, the U.S. always gets to the round of 16 and falters and loses. I mean, we saw what happened against Netherlands last year
It's
as well.
Quinto Partido. It's Quinto Partido time, but now it's Sexto Partido.
Yeah,
they cannot get past the round of 16. So for me, to be a successful World Cup, they need to get past round 16 and into the quarterfinal stage. As John mentioned, again, this World Cup does give them a little bit more of I guess leeway to, if they do mess up, if they do drop a result, okay, you go in that you potentially play in Iran or Egypt, who probably isn't as strong as some of the other teams that you would potentially face off as those back to make a 32 team World Cup. But if we don't see a quarterfinal, I mean, we're looking at a team that was very hyped, that everyone talked about, Pulisic, with McKennie, with this quote unquote golden generation that we kind of heard about, that couldn't do as much as the older guys.
Well, and we're talking about now, these were not conversations we were having 4 years ago. Now there's players who are playing significant minutes for European teams that we're talking about.
Right.
How do we get Weah on the field and stuff like that? Look, it doesn't make for incredible podcast content, but again, I'm in the same boat. You have to make the quarterfinals, and it's just because I think a theme over the next 20 minutes or so is going to be how important it is to win your group if you are one of the hosts, because the tournament rightly is rigged to benefit the hosts winning their groups. The host wins their group, they have an easier road. We'll talk. I don't want to spoil the rest of it, but if the USA wins their group, their road is Santa Clara and then Seattle. You talk about that round of 16 game against potentially an Iran or someone like that. To me, it makes it even bigger that you have to win because it would be in Seattle. That is as home field advantage as I think you can get in the World Cup playing in a city like that, right? It's not multicultural in many ways. That's not a shot, but you know what I mean? It's hard to get to. It's way up there. It could be rainy. Who knows? I think you have to win a game like that in Seattle. And look, yeah, pressure's on. It's a disaster if you don't get out of the round of 16. But I think quarterfinals, and then because if you win that game, then you go straight back to LA. So it's like you're on the West Coast the entire time.
I think the other thing is that, like, if they do that, the things that they're saying, we want to make this country fall in love with soccer. We want to make, get soccer to be a sensation in this country. That stuff would happen. Like, if they make the quarterfinal, I think like any knockout game that they have at a reasonable time, the time slot where like people can go to the bar and watch the game, or people are going to have watch parties, or people are going to say, hey, why don't we go down to the fan fest or whatever the watch parties are in their community, the more likely it is that like it starts to feel like a movement, that people really start to care. So if they do get bounced if they have a bad group stage, or if they do get bounced in the round of 32, then it's like that doesn't happen, which is what they're saying their goal is, to make people fall in love with soccer, to make the country believe. It would happen if they made the quarterfinals, and I think from there it's like kind of unrealistic to say, oh well, it's a failure if you don't make the semis. Although that'd be awesome, and certainly I think would get everyone in the country talking. But would they be in Dallas?
The semis would be in Dallas, assuming that they finish first in their group.
First. And
then also that round of 16 potential game at Lumen Field.
Would be like Belgium, yeah?
7 p.m. Well, that the round of 16 would be like Iran. The quarterfinals would be Belgium.
Iran would be round of 32. Because the round of 32 is a 2D versus 2G, or 2D versus 2, I think, F right, or whatever. Iran
next segment.
We're in the weeds. We're in the weeds.
Yeah,
move on.
Yeah.
Now let's go south of the border to Mexico, where the pressure
where John will be there in a week.
Yeah, where John will be in a week, where maybe the pressure is even higher at this point on El Tree. John, let's go to you again. You're the Mexico whisperer here. What is? Gosh, this is a difficult question to answer, and I'm sure it's a question that everyone is debating right now. What is a successful World Cup for Mexico?
They also have to get to the quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals again, okay?
The thing is that, for a long time, it's been the quinto partido. And I think that in some ways, expectations have been a little bit reset because of what happened in 2022, where Mexico failed to get out of the group. And I think that, also the fact that Mexico slogged through the fall and looked pretty terrible really kind of negated a lot of the good things that they did at the start of the Javier Aguirre era, including winning both CONCACAF trophies on offer, right? They won the Nations League, they won the Gold Cup, and it was like, this is the best team in CONCACAF. This is a team that's going to be top 10 around the World Cup time. And then they just weren't. They didn't look good in the friendlies. Players that had been performing didn't perform. Guys they need healthy got injured. But now all of a sudden, it sort of seems like things are rounding into, think people are getting, Edson Alvarez is healthy. Gilberto More is healthy. Some guys are still out, but overall, this is kind of what you wanted the Mexico team to look like. They didn't look amazing in their friendly against Australia.
You could see the spirit of El Tri, though. You could see it in that game.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad. Some good individual performances. Vasquez and Montes are they're the real deal. They're going to be a difficult center back pairing to break down. Tala Rangel behind them is going to be solid. Memo Ochoa, I did a video. People are like, he's not going to play any minutes. He might play minutes. Probably in the last group game.
Yeah.
But I just think that since the standard for so long has been to get out of the round of 16 would be a huge success. And when Mexico has played on home soil the previous 2 times, they've won knockout games. I really think that has to be sort of the standard. And, I'm saying the U.S. will kind of back the team if they get to this, if they go on this run to the quarterfinals. I think this idea that I've been writing about for years of Mexico getting the country back in love with it, if they don't have that kind of run, I think people are going to be done. I think people really are going to check out on the national team, to be honest. And they'll get back because Rafa Marquez is the next coach, and Gil More is going to be a superstar, and there's reasons to check back in. But I think if they don't get to the quarterfinals of this tournament, I think people are going to really be peacing out and saying maybe I'll check back in 2 years.
They'll need a superstar, a true international superstar, like a Chicharito or something like that, to get people to go.
Baby. But
But
what about for you? Do you think they need to go that far?
So here's the thing that I think is totally that you didn't mention is that we have not seen Mexico play competitive. When was the last competitive game that Mexico played at Azteca? I mean, it's pushing on what, 7-8 years potentially at this point. What, before the 2022,
the last World Cup qualifiers,
2022 World Cup qualifying. So we're talking what, 2021, and I want to say Mexico very comfortably.
That's not 7 years, but okay.
I want to say Mexico very comfortably qualified for that, or 5 years. But Mexico very comfortably qualified, right? When was the last? Truly, I should have looked it up before the show, but when was the last big game that Mexico played at Azteca? Well. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's a weird one too because the pandemic really affected. I was at the US-Mexico game in that cycle, and that was super pandemic affected. People had to show a card to get in and a QR code, and there hasn't been an occasion like we're going to see in 10 days in a long time.
Exactly, and so they play all but if they win the group, every single game until the quarterfinals is at Azteca. Who is walking in? I think we forget, right? Who is walking into that stadium and winning? And
England.
Are they? Oh, I would back Mexico. I would back Mexico big time. Let's see. That game is on July 5th. If Mexico-England plays on July 5th, that would be a 6 p.m. local, 6 p.m. local kickoff on July 5th. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. I think Mexico wins that game. By that point, of course, because they would be slated to play Brazil in the next, if form holds, they would then play Brazil in Miami. Okay, Armand, if Mexico loses to Brazil in Miami, whatever, that's going to be one of the partidazos of the tournament. I feel like the theme here, we're all going to be agreeing, but what are you looking at for Mexico?
I think they need to get to the England game, because the way we've talked about it is you're set up with so much success if you win the group, right? And to be in Mexico for all of it, right? Because if they finish second or third, they have to leave Mexico. It's all over the place. So I think they have a real big chance of kind of winning over the Mexican public again. I mean, look at a guy like Brian Gutierrez. There's this kind of like
stars will be born. Stars could be born
youthful injection into the Mexican national team that the U.S. had in the 2022 World Cup that got us kind of all excited. Like, oh, what are these guys going to do after a 2018 failure? I think Mexico has a chance, John, to kind of capitalize on that with a guy like Gilberto Mora, while still having some of the old guard as well too. I think Mexico needs another star. I feel like a guy that's known like kind of like not obviously this won't be to the level of Ochoa's kind of cult status in Mexico, but they need another guy like that to kind of be like, oh, I'm excited to go watch Brian Gutierrez. I'm excited to watch
There was Chicharito for a long time, right?
And Dos Santos was up there too.
Sure, before that, yeah. I mean, I think they've always had someone.
They need some new blood, and I think
that's why, like, whenever I talk to Andres Guardado, who debuted in the World Cup as a teenager, I asked him, like, what's your advice for Gilberto Mora? And he was like, I don't have advice for Gilberto Mora. He's been awesome. I have advice for the fans and the media because y'all got to relax. But even you can tell, like, people are like, is this guy it? And he might be, right? But like, Armand, you say Brian, dude, a guy born in Chicago?
Yeah.
if he can become the guy, like if he can make Mexico fans fall, and like it's just fascinating because the first time since 2014 the Mexican American players are included in the squad. It's Gutierrez and Obed. Right. And I think both of them, like, I think people do connect. Gutierrez is on Chivas, Obed picked Mexico, and like I think people do like that. But for them to be the face of the national team, I think is difficult. It's all the pressure on Gilberto Mora's shoulders. And if he gets them to the quarterfinal, if he gets them past England, Daniel, people will buy in for sure.
Okay, this one we might not all agree on, hopefully. Canada. Let's look north of the border. The Maple Leafs. Is that what do they call themselves, the Maple Leafs?
I think they jokingly, so there was like a Fox graphic during the Women's World Cup, I think in 2023, that said no official nickname. And so now some people say no official nicknames, which I think is really funny.
That's funny.
I think the Reds is the most like accepted, but it's not very good, honestly.
The no official nicknames have probably as wide of a span of results as we could realistically see in the tournament. They're in a group with Bosnia and Herzegovina, Qatar, and Switzerland. Armand, what's success for Canada like? They play their first game in Toronto, then it's all the way over to Vancouver.
I think for me, a success would be you have to finish in one of the top two spots, I think, in their group. Like whether that be topping it or second, and like just getting to the round of 32 in one of those top two spots, I think is a success. I don't think necessarily like I'm not necessarily high on the Canadian national team. I don't think they're that good. They were really bad in 2022 as well too. They finished 31 out of 32 teams. They haven't. They haven't,
group, but yeah,
they haven't proven much. And I know they have hype. I know they extend Jesse Marsh, but you want to see a little bit of progression, and I think if you finish in that top spot, okay, I think it linked up the third place team. If you finish in that secondary spot, it's so difficult because I think you put the second of Group A, which could be South Korea, it could be Mexico potentially,
Mexico, Canada, well okay,
yeah. So like that, I
Big
think
Vic is back.
Big Vic
and then back. If they finish third, I think there's a pretty decent chance that they could play the U.S. The U.S. finishes first, so I think. You want to get, I think if they get to round 32, if they advance, if they put on a show in Canada, that's all. I have very low expectations for Canada. Like, I don't expect them to do much. And if they get to round 32 and they bring a little bit of excitement, people will be pretty happy about it. But outside of that, I don't have that high of expectations, which is different because usually I come on this show saying we should have higher expectations for Canada.
Yeah. I was about to say that. I mean, what have I preached constantly on the program, guys? Like when we talk about Canada, when we evaluate Canada, Daniel tries to baby them. And I say, no, like this is a team that needs to be held to a high standard. However, how many wins has Canada had at the World Cup ever? Men's?
None?
0.
None.
How many draws has Canada had at the World Cup, at the Men's World Cup in history?
Well, how many home games have they played?
Hold on. It's 0. How many goals has Canada
played?
scored at the Men's World Cup? They scored 2. If Canada gets out of the group, it's a success. It's a success. They don't have to finish top 2, Armand.
No way.
They could go third. Who cares?
Gotta be more.
If they get out of the group, it's a success. Now, I will say, the group sets up for them pretty nicely. I think Qatar is straight up bad.
Yep.
They have not won, I believe, since they qualified. Now, they're also like really heavily impacted by the Iran war, and like they've tried to play some games that haven't gone well, but like they haven't won. I don't think they look good. They couldn't win on home soil, so Canada should be all right there. And then you got a Bosnia team that's like scrappy, but like, they had to scrap to get here, right? So I think Canada, I think it sets up well, but if they fight and claw their way and get through the group with a point, that's one more point than they've ever gotten at the Men's World Cup. So I agree that the standard could be higher. If they get through in third place, man, they've never gotten a point.
Why would not get through at 1 point?
Y'all are babying them big time right now.
If they get through.
Everything is set up for them. Everything is set up for them. It's all home games. You say, oh, they haven't had points. Oh, just get a point.
Everything is set up for them. They don't have Alphonso Davies, huge question. Moise Bombito, big question. Marcelo Flores, totally out.
Yeah, that sucks.
It sucks, but also like their team just isn't going to be as good as it could be. Like,
but they still have got great forward options. I mean, Tani, Kyle Larin, Jonathan David, they've still got really good options. And by the way, as much as I slagged off Jonathan David in the first half of the season, he played really well for Juventus in the second half of the season. He comes in good form right now.
They're still going to try and move him.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that in 2 months. But look at the group, okay? Qatar is 3 points. Qatar is a disaster if you don't win that.
First ever 3 points.
Yes, but that's the easiest.
If they don't beat Bosnia.
That's the easiest World Cup game they've ever played. Canada versus Qatar at home will be the easiest game they've ever played in the World Cup. Have to win that game. I think they can win one of the other 2 games. If they get 6 points, I think they win the group. If they win the group, their next 2 games are in Vancouver. Okay, I value very highly playing home games in the World Cup. So they would stay in Vancouver, and then they would play a third place team, and then they would play the winner of Group K, which is Portugal or Colombia. That's probably where it ends, right? But to me, it's round of 16. I think it's not a successful tournament if they don't make the round of 16, because I think they should win their group. They are a home team. They are They have the easiest
over Switzerland.
Switzerland. What are we talking about here?
I think Switzerland wins the group, and I think Canada goes through second.
What are we talking about here with Switzerland?
Switzerland? You said that like I said freaking Qatar was going to beat them.
Come on.
That's how Daniel usually talks about Canada.
If you ask Jesse Marsh, what do you think in his heart of hearts he would tell you a successful World Cup is? He would say get to the round of 16. I think that's what he would say, is say get to the round of 16. So
he would say winning it. He's a coach. They're crazy competitive.
In his heart of hearts, though. Now, I'm not saying what he would say in the media. In his heart of hearts, in his diary.
Jesse, can I get an interview? Oh my gosh, the boss.
Just like the Raymond. Yeah, if he's Raymond Dominic writing in his diary.
I hope he's not as crazy as that guy. Oh my gosh.
That's true. But he would write round of 16 is a success. So now let's spread our horizons. We don't talk a lot of outside the CONCACAF walls on the Hex. Hey,
I don't let us.
Maybe we won't in this segment. Armand didn't want us to. He wanted us to pick what is our success. What is going to be our CONCACAF World Cup dark horse?
It's Curacao for wearing the
outside of the host nations. He said.
The 3 teams outside of the host nations. John and I said, no way, buddy. We got to spread this out. World Cup dark horse. Who's it going to be? I'll get us started out here. I'm going to look to a team that had a really good performance today, and that is going to be in Scandinavia, and I'm going to go Norway with my World Cup dark horse. I think, okay, I'm getting a lot of shaked heads right here. I love what Norway is doing right now. They beat the piss out of Sweden today, and that's a rivalry game. They were up 3-0. Erling Haaland.
That's a rivalry game. Throw the record books out, baby.
Erling Haaland didn't even play today for Norway. And you look at their qualifying, guys, they went 8-0-0 with something like 30 goals scored and 5 goals against. They had Italy in their group. Okay, the rest of the teams were kind of crap. But I think Norway can make a lot of noise in this tournament. Okay, first off, look at the group that they have, right? Where'd it go? France, Senegal, Iraq. Okay, I think Norway will have the best forward on the field in 2 out of those 3 games. You look at with Erling Haaland, not France, not France.
I was about to.
Yes. 2 out of the 3 games, you've got Erling Haaland, and you've got Sorloth, and you've got just Premier League players all over the field. Odegaard, not a world. I wanted to say 2 Champions League winners. Unfortunately, Odegaard did not win the Champions League. But you look at the high-end talent they have. I think they can beat Senegal. I think they can beat Iraq. Then when you get past that, you look at the teams they could potentially play in that second or in that knockout round game. What is it? The second place of Group I. They're going to play second place from Group E in Arlington, so that's a Dallas game. They would then play second place from Group E is Curacao, Ivory Coast, or Ecuador. I'm backing Norway in any of those games. Norway gets to the round of 16. That's a fantastic dark horse. So give me the Scandinavians of Norway, John.
He pats himself on the back. Well, I'll tell you who's going to beat him if they get that far, and I'm not so sure they will, is Ecuador. Ecuador is the dark horse, and Ecuador is going to make a deep run in this tournament. There's one thing that Ecuador really needs, and that's Enner Valencia to score goals. Now, he's done that in the past, but he's an old man. I mean, I think he's kind of the same age as me. So an old man.
Still got it.
He's still got it. But when you look at what Ecuador did during World Cup, and listen, like, maybe, I don't know how people are going to react to this one, but like, I'm going to say it's not actually that crazy to pick the second best team in South America as the dark horse. Sure. Because to me, Ecuador right now is better than Uruguay, they're better than Colombia, and they're better than Brazil.
Wow.
Look at qualification. Look at qualification. When you look at what happened in qualification, Ecuador was fantastic. And why? It all starts with their defense, with one Champions winner and one Champions non-league winner, and William Pacho, and Hincapié, who actually plays out of position because they got so many great defenders. They don't even need him to do what he's best at necessarily. Now, there's a question mark at goalkeeper and there's a question mark at scoring goals, but that midfield and the defense makes it so unlikely that these teams who want to play, who want to find chances are going to be able to. It's not going to be, I was going to say sexy like their manager, Becca Sexy, but it doesn't matter. They're going to grind out 1-0s. They're going to grind out 2-1s, and they're going to get deep in this tournament because of guys like Moises Caicedo, because of guys like the center backs that I mentioned.
Yeah.
There's some like, Gonzalo Plata. Like, there's some guys who have potential that like haven't totally popped that are going to be able to play at the top level in this tournament, and you're going to see a really, really good run from Latri.
You want to talk about like sneaky, really good game in the first round of games, that Ivory Coast Ecuador.
That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to.
That's a huge
because I do think, even though Germany is like, we'll see, I still think they'll probably top that group, and then the winner of that game, if there is one in Philly, will be the second place team. I love my Curacao boys, but it just, I mean, when you look at the friendlies, it's been rough. Although they just need 11 men on the field for one of them. So
the nightmare scenario for the U.S. would be finishing first and getting a third place Ecuador. That would be probably the nightmare scenario for a round of 32 game. Armand,
that'd be absolutely brutal. No, I mean, remember that Ecuador-USA friendly that was in Austin, and Ecuador was giving the U.S. quite a bit issues.
That's the one where Chris Richards got turned by like a top by Enner Valencia, basically.
Yeah, Enner Valencia. I mean, that guy's still a chef, man. These guys, they always perform. Is it? I really want to go with Morocco as a dark horse.
Semi-finalist from. Well, okay.
I know, but like
a non-African champion.
Anyone can be a dark horse depending on the expectations, right? So you're saying Morocco's going to win the tournament. I mean,
I feel like they're going to top the group against Brazil. And that first game on that first Saturday is going to be excellent. 5 p.m. banging, right? Wow, John, give me these eyebrows. I think Morocco's a good team. I think they're constantly underrated because they're from Africa, and I think a lot of people underrate African teams for whatever reason. I mean, people are like, hey, Senegal sucks, or oh, hey, Egypt sucks, or all these things. Like, why? Why do you guys think all these teams suck? They're all really good cohesive players. Morocco has plenty of players playing in Europe as well too. They, I think, are a good cohesive unit. They have good chemistry. They've been together for quite a bit. I think they're gonna top the group. I think they're gonna beat. But the only thing that sucks about where their placement is that they're kind of locked into like the old kind of style where it's like they would play the second place of the
they got an unlucky draw, the knockout round draw for them.
That Netherlands, Japan, Sweden group, and then if they finished first in their group, if they finished second in the group, they play the winner of that group. So that's a little bit more difficult than if you're the one like the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and you played a third team. So that's, I think, the only complication. But their expectations should be high. I think they're a damn good team, even if CAF has to gave them AFCON. But
that's part of the reason I'm out on them, man. That's part of the reason I'm a little out. When you look at that AFCON, which was on home soil, which everything was given to them, including literally the final, I just don't think they actually really rose to the occasion. Like, I don't think they played anything looking like their best soccer. They looked good in the March matches, but my biggest concern, I'm a big Walid you can tell how big of a fan I am because I can't say his name. Walid Regragui fan, the previous manager of Morocco, who was awesome, who left. And now he's out. And now they've played, I think, one game or maybe 2 games, the March games, and then this friendly they had at home. under the new manager, Mohamed Ouabi, who's like still continuity from Walid's staff. But I don't think it's the same. You're not going to be able to recapture the magic. I agree with you that the squad is good, that maybe people underrate African soccer. But when you watch them in AFCON, like I'm way higher on Senegal, and I think Senegal has a higher ceiling. But
Well,
I mean,
and
I'm not trying to lighten your dark horse pick. I'm sorry.
I think Morocco's ceiling and floor are about as high and low as any team in the tournament, because almost nothing that they do would surprise me. And the one thing, Armand, that gives me pause as well on their dark horse status is, and with anything in this World Cup, you have to look at where they could travel and where they could go. Well, Morocco's group stage games, okay, great. They are in New York, Foxborough, and Atlanta. Well, if they finish second in the group, they got to go from Atlanta to Guadalajara. and there's only 5 days in between games, which is a shorter time than most of them. So you have to go from Atlanta to Guadalajara and probably play Netherlands. That's tough.
That'd be a fun game to go to.
That would be a spicy game. A lot of Moroccan Dutch players.
All right, let's wrap it up for the week, guys. We've talked about what are successes for teams. Now let's talk about a surprise. And we're going to say, what is the biggest surprise for normies? And when we're talking about normies, we're not talking about the people who probably listen to the show every week, who know who's playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final.
Who make it to segment 6.
Yeah, we're talking about the people who are texting you, asking you right now, hey, how much are tickets? Hey, where can I find tickets? Hey, do you got any extra tickets? The normies who don't understand quite what's coming. So, Armand, what's going to be your biggest surprise for normies at the 2026 World Cup?
It's something that I was talking to you guys about. I think people are gonna be so surprised when you see a third place team advance. A lot of people were asking me, "Hey, why?" Like people were like, "Why do people think Iran can advance out of the group?" I'm like, "Well, because 3 teams can advance, and 6 out of the 8 third place teams can actually advance out of the World Cup." And people were like, "Wait, third place teams can advance?" So I think that's going to be one thing that people aren't like necessarily ready for. And what they're also not going to be ready for is that there's 495 permutations into figuring out who the third place teams will play in the knockout stage games. Or it's not all clear cut. It's not like, oh, it's 1A versus 3I or something. No, it's like it could be 495 combinations.
Well, that's why setting up a bracket challenge sucks, because I've had people ask me like, "Oh, is there a bracket challenge? Can we do a like a March Madness style thing?" And I'm like, "You're gonna have to reset it after the knockout round game."
Yeah, literally,
it's impossible.
It's impossible. So like, I think that's one thing, but I think that's also going to provide a lot more. You know how those like kind of last few games of like the group stage where it's between 2 teams that are already eliminated are kind of just like
everyone's alive. Yeah, everyone's alive.
That one, it won't end, and there won't it won't be a game for pride anymore. It'll be a game for, hey, we're gonna go all out. We could advance out of this group if we do get the results. I think it's going to produce a little bit more cagier affairs as well too, because teams are going to be incentivized. Hey, we're going to pick off. Maybe we can pick off as 1 point, and then if we get a win, we're going to be more than likely into the knockout stage on 4 points. So I think that's going to be a big thing where teams are. You have more like you're going to go all out in all these games regardless, but there's more likelihood of you advancing. Like, for example, Iran's likelihood to advance, I saw was like minus 150, which is like, you would never expect that in like a normal 32 team World Cup. So again, I think it's going to cause for a lot more cagier, fun match, but it's going to be a lot more competitive till the end, to where a game like New Zealand, Iran has a lot more meaning than,
it's tough to get. It's going to be tough to be eliminated before like the last 45 minutes.
You're going to have to be really bad.
Yes. John, where are you looking?
Mine is opposing fan invasions. I just think we're going to see a lot of random scenes of like, oh, I thought Haiti fans couldn't get into the country, and there's going to be like 40,000 people wearing Haiti jerseys in Boston or Philly, I think they're in. Mm-hmm. And then Atlanta, which will also be like a pretty good Asian crowd, especially folks that come up from Miami. But like, that's just one example. I think Iran fans are going to come out in numbers, which is going to be strange for people and hopefully safe. I think, it's just like so many different diaspora groups. It's going to make this a magical World Cup, honestly, despite everything that we've gone through to get here, and despite all the, the atmosphere around this tournament. I think those are going to be the beautiful moments of like, and people I think in Dallas like expect Argentina fans to show up, but like the Dutch fans are going to show up, and the Japanese fans are going to show up, and the Japanese fans are going to show up again, and like it's going to be like, I just think that people are not totally ready. and even more so because some of the narrative has been like, oh, well, actually the hotels aren't getting full, and actually this, and actually that, and it's like people are going to be here, or your neighbor who you didn't realize was from country X is now caring more than he's ever cared about anything else, and he's leaving the house in his jersey and shooting off fireworks, right? So I think that's the normies will be shocked.
As an East Dallas resident, I didn't even think about the fireworks that could get shot off over the next month near my house. There's going to be
various countries.
For various countries. And John, to your point as well, when we were at the Men in Blazers event last week, I was talking to a guy from Visit Dallas, and he was telling us, look, we are seeing tons of flights coming in from Mexico. And obviously Mexico isn't even playing in Dallas. And I think you're going to see a lot of people come in to go to the Fan Fest in the United States, like to experience it maybe without tickets. Mine that I had that I think is even for like not normies, hardcores, is going to be how long the tournament is. I don't think we're prepared for how long this tournament is going to be. I was looking
I don't think I'm prepared.
Well, yeah, it's a good 6+ weeks. The last World Cup started on November 20th and ended on December 18th. Less than a month long. It was about 28 days, 29 days, right? This World Cup, it starts on June 12th. And it
June 11th, it's on my birthday.
Sorry, starts on June 11th on Armand's birthday, and it ends on July 19th. Also, in that same time frame, June 11th to July 11th. July 11th, you're only done with the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals end on July 11th. There's 2 more rounds in the time in between, like more days than the last World Cup was played in. So I think that it is going to be a marathon. We're going to be feeling like when the group stage is over that the tournament is almost over. It's just getting started. And that's when we're talking about like, oh, hotels aren't filling up, this and that. Guys, this tournament really starts in the knockout rounds. It doesn't even really start in the group stage. I think there will have no problem. And when you talk about fan invasions in cities, Dallas is hosting a game in almost every round. We don't know who's going to play in those games. It could be absolutely nuts. So, let's wait and see on that one. Yeah, that'll wrap us up. The normies, they're going to be locked in. I can't wait to see what happens. I mean, we're less than
10 days away.
10 days away. That's crazy. Well, 9, assuming we put this out on Tuesday morning. So, yeah, one more friendly next weekend, and we'll have some big time predictions of just the entire tournament to talk about next time on The Hex. Thanks for listening.